in the leadership code, you and your colleagues set out this framework, and you really were aiming to distill leadership into a set of core principles. Can you walk us through the leadership code and its 5 essential rules?
We Googled leader and we Googled leadership, and anyone can do it. And there's just, I don't even know how many today, but hundreds of millions of articles and ideas. What happens is it's so complex that we don't know what to do. So what my colleague Norm Smallwood and Kate Sweetman and I did, we went to 15 thought leaders. It's not a big sample, it's a small sample, but they had done 100 books and they had done over a million or 2 million 360. So they were
Mm,
really thought leaders in leadership. And we said to them two questions. Number one, what percent of leadership is basically the same stuff, no matter where you are, top of company, bottom, big company, small company, anywhere in the world? The answers were 60 to 80%. 70 to 80% of leadership is the same basic set of skills, no matter where you are. And then obviously question two, what is it? What is it? And we took their ideas and trusted them and came up with 5 rules, 5 core things. Number one, really simple strategy. Do you know where you're going? Leaders have to figure out a direction, where you're going, vision, mission, purpose, whatever agenda you want. Number two, execution. Do you get there? Do you make progress? Do you move forward? Do you know what's going to happen? Do you make change happen? Do you have accountability? Number three, managing talent today. Do I engage my people? Do I help my people? Do I nurture my people? Number four, building the future of my people and organization. Am I helping create the next generation of people? Am I investing in the future? And number five, in the middle, do I have personal proficiency? Am I authentic? Am I credible? So north, south, east, west. North, where am I going? West, how do I get there? South, how do I treat people? West or east, whichever is left, how do I build the future? And then in the middle, at the heart, is personal proficiency. And then what we found, Tom, is really simple. Those 5 categories tend to be timeless. If you go back 10 years, 50 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, I still remember, and it shows how old I am, Peter Drucker in a workshop saying, the greatest leadership ever done was the pyramids. Kind of interesting. He said, we've not advanced much past then. Well, you take those 5 things: strategy, they knew what they were doing; execution, they got it done; talent, they managed their people; human capability, human capital development, they built future generations. That's what the pyramids were about. And personal, they had authenticity, credibility. So those 5 timeless, simple principles seem to be a base for leadership. We call it the code. Everybody says that's the DNA code. I'm now going to confess. When we wrote the book, the movie The Da Vinci Code was popular. So we took
mm,
the idea from the Da
yeah.
Vinci Code, the movie, and I know there are movie buffs who would appreciate that metaphor. We took it from the Da Vinci Code, not the DNA code, but we'll claim that's the DNA code of leadership.
Well, that was a fortuitous set of circumstances that panned out that way because I think you're right. I think people do think of it as DNA related. But thanks for walking through those with us, Dave. That's really valuable, really helpful to frame how we're going to be thinking about this and talking about it. Uh, I suspect those 5 things were not just randomly assigned in order with regard to how you laid it out in the book and how you described it just now, but rather you really carefully thought about that order. Is is that correct? Is there a hierarchy, or do you see them
You
as
know, you
all
can almost
equal?
you can almost begin anywhere. You can say, okay, we got good talent. What does that now mean for our strategy? Marriott Hotels has great talent. They know how to manage their people. So what's their strategy? They're going to get into retirement communities. So you can use your talent to drive strategy, or strategy and pick talent. So we have it as a two by two. Everything in life is a two by two. It's do I focus past or future? Do I focus on people or process? And in that two by two, we can put those five domains.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, as I've thought about them, they seem to be less like, a litany and more consistent with what I would call a cognitive network in that they're interdependent, to a
Oh
significant
yeah.
extent.
Great comment, great comment. So, I mean, we say we're gonna have a strategy of X, Y, and Z, but the talent we've got does A, B, and C. And so we're gonna end up in a misplaced agenda. And so they really do go together. What I like about them is, and again, we always like the things that we created. They're timeless. You can apply them almost any time, any place, but it's also timely. So what you need to do to be a strategist today is not the same as what you needed to do 15 years ago. In a world of AI, in a world of uncertainty, in a world of change, today's strategy is not about just articulating a vision, it's managing and dealing with uncertainty. And
Mm,
so you get behaviors that may be timely against a timeless set of principles.
yeah, that's helpful. So, I was wondering if you could maybe have just take a couple of these rules and maybe expand on them just a little bit. For instance, when you talk about leaders shaping the future, what does that look like for them?
A great comment. This is the strategist domain. So it says, if I'm going to lead, we have to know where we're going. And we can talk about that in lots of terms. We've got vision, mission, strategy, goals, objectives. I was in a company once and they had spent about 6 months with a consulting firm coming up with their statement. They had their values, their vision, their mission, their strategies, their goals. There were 36 items on this one page sheet in small type. And just before I'd arrived, they sent it out to 30,000 employees overnight with a video and a workbook and a one-page sheet. And they asked me what I thought. And I asked a question. I said, what do you think those folks did when they got your overnight mail with the video and the sheet? You think they sat down and said, oh, thank you, corporate. We're going to memorize it. I call it SPOTS, strategic plan on top shelf. It's a strategic plan. They put it on the shelf, and once it goes to the shelf, it's been a bookcase funeral. It's like all the books we have on our shelves. They're now on the shelves. We won't read them again. By the way, I should confess, they asked me to finish my session that day at noon. They didn't want me back in the afternoon because I thought they'd not really done the key. You take all those terms, and they're great terms: vision, mission, strategy, goals, objectives, key result areas. What does it mean? You have an aspiration. What are you trying to accomplish? An aspiration focuses on the future. Given what we have capacity to do and where we envision next, what's our aspiration? How do we begin to see what that future might look like for me? And that applies at every level. For a CEO, where do I want to take my firm? For any business unit, where do I want to take my business? For a function, where do I want to take my function? I think we need aspirations that inspire, that capture the future. And I mentioned before, so I'll tie up on that one. The behaviors of creating that aspiration, and they say, is that a strategy, a mission, a vision, a key result? I don't care. I can. By the way, I've written papers that distinguish those, but it's an aspiration. What's unique in today's world? And what I think is unique and timely in today's world against the timeless strategist role is uncertainty. Go back 5 years. I was thinking about that this morning. We're February of 2025. In the last 5 years, what's happened? March 2020, COVID. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, our world just changed. It shut down. Since then, we've had, I don't even need to go through it, political
Right.
uncertainty, economic uncertainty. In this world of incredible uncertainty, and we face it today, as people look at this podcast maybe in a year or two, we don't even know what's going to happen. So, what's the leadership aspiration skill? And my answer is find certainty in uncertainty. Instead of chasing the uncertainty, let's do scenario planning, scenario planning. You can't even predict the scenario.
Yeah.
Who could have predicted COVID? Who could have predicted some of the wars that we've had and some of the trauma of the election? Who could have predicted those things? Let me explain what I mean by certainty and uncertainty. When
Yeah.
COVID happened, I traveled a lot. I know you've done your work. We do a lot. We travel. We're engaged. I was a frequent flyer on a lot of airlines. COVID hit. I'm not traveling. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to do alternative. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it hit me. Slow down. What are you certain about? What is your aspiration, your core value, your strategy, your mission, your vision? And it hit me. I love to learn. I love to learn. That's my passion. And I love to learn in ways that help others get better. And so I thought, that's a certainty in my life. So now, where can I do that? I had never done video podcast. Somebody said you have a face for a radio.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to step in. I'm going to try to learn. I'm going to try to find new ways to meet my certainty. So, a business leader, what are we certain about? What are we certain about in our aspiration? And then in a world of uncertainty, stick with that certainty. So, that's an example of strategist, where are we going, aspiration, and then the certainty in the behavior that goes with that.